Hey guys, it's Matt. Well, Andrew dared me to wear it. Fromers tried to warn you. I told him I'd wear it. And it's not, I also have to put, some certain Christians will also treat it as a Christian blasphemy because he's presenting Notnilc 3-3 chapter and verse. I think it's funny. I'll tell you what I am scared of, wearing it out. I mean, how many, do you think anybody would have the gall or not the gall, but the balls to say, what is that? And then you have to, how would I possibly explain it? Oh, you don't know Notnilc? Let's go like Otter in Animal House. Let's go sit down together and have a conversation. I mean, look, and there's probably there's probably a few trolls that are trying to screenshot it, and they'll try to tell their demented subscriber base, I told you so. If there's any troll trying to screenshot this and then trying to use it, you know how really low, pathetic that is. Anyways, guys, so Andrew, I told you I'd wear it. And by the way, I don't usually wear like a tighter T-shirt, but I mean it's uncanny how perfect it fits. Like if I was looking for a tighter T-shirt, if I had like a tailor flown in from Paris, I'll tell you about the horrible opening ceremony in just a moment. I felt like I almost had to watch it. It wouldn't be. It just fits me. I don't know. It's perfect. Maybe I will start wearing it out, guys. The Olympics opening ceremony was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire. By the way, there's a reality conversation coming. If anybody's tuning in saying this is just a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of bullcrap, we're going to talk about. It seems like we live in to a degree, an objective reality where almost all the elements are shared. But Frank, actually, we've touched on this subject in the past, or I've never talked about it at length. But Frank, in a letter he sent me, really got me thinking that we need to really dive into this, because I think the way Frank put it, he was very, very clear in how he put it. We all have a completely separate reality. The shared elements are like a lot less than what you would think. Ow! The nails need to be done. And somehow those shared realities find a way to mix or communicate with each other or overlap when we go to buy groceries or when we interact or just talk with someone. There's a mechanism here we'll never understand about how those realities are shared, but they're far more individual and specific than we would think. Of course, I just left I left a comment very similar to this at the Guy Fawkes channel. Guy talks a lot about Mandela effects and his his personal experiences as he navigates this reality. Your friends and family, of course, just that's ridiculous, and everybody, of course, has the exact same reality. Everybody, to your friends and family, everybody lives in the exact same world. I don't even. I was going to say. I always use the example of in everybody's reality. So and so last year won the Super Bowl, but I guess I forgot for a second. It was the Kansas City Chiefs. If anybody was a betting person, with the presentation of what was her name, Taylor Swift. With the presentation of Taylor Swift, we should have known that not only would they get to the Super Bowl, but they would win. I knew they would get to the Super Bowl because of the endless Taylor Swift nonsense. I wasn't so sure. I thought it would be too blatant if they won, but no, they won. I think. Anyway, so guys, that's the reality conversation that I wanted to dive into later. Talked about a little bit more than I wanted to. Now there's a lot on the list of like real quick topics to go through, but very quickly on the Olympics. I think I'll do the free voice tomorrow, just showing you clips from it. I don't even know why I feel the need. There's no real reality conversation that's going to come from it, other than just everything is completely breaking down and being destroyed across the board. If you didn't see it, I can't tell you. I can't express. So I'll move on in just a moment how bad it was. There was this movie they kept going to about people carrying the Olympic torch or flame into Paris, and this movie was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And then they would go to the processions of the athletes coming down in boats on the Seine, is it? I think before I was saying the Seine. I'm from Pennsylvania. It's the Seine, whatever. Who cares? Who cares what it is? And then Oh, joining Mike Tirico, who I can't stand, but he is professional and competent, at least. I have a few nicknames for him that are rather disparaging. But then joining Mike Tirico is Peyton Manning. Oh, God. He's Peyton Manning. Didn't he go? Shouldn't he have gone away about 5 years ago? And who? Kelly Clarkson. What Olympic event was she, or what athletic did she do in the? At least Peyton Manning knows about professional sports and the stress of having millions of people watch. Or I don't know. He has some sort of athletic experience to share. Kelly Clarkson, and she was awful. I mean, just awful. I'm not sure. I had to turn it off. I mean, so okay. So no, I don't have any much to say about it. We'll probably laugh at certain segments of it for those that haven't seen it. It's so bizarre and bad. It's almost like you have to watch. I think that'll be the free voice tomorrow. Sorry, Czar. If anybody was saying to me, Matt, have you in any way adjusted your opinion on Trump or what went down, and not in any way. What it appeared to me to be, say, 1 minute after I saw it for the first time, in no way is any different from that. It is. It's gotten more ridiculous. It's gotten more ridiculous, and I didn't think that was even possible. So I don't even know what to say about that. The whole reality's broken down across the board in every regard. They're paying the gold medalists. They're paying the gold medalists $50,000. I know they get the Nike contracts and all that, but just for the Olympics to go, further and to start paying. I mean, it's as simple as this is the era of destruction. The Notnilc, the dark reality, has to destroy everything that was once considered good. This is the era of it. Why it's needing to do that, we've talked about several times. We'll talk about it many times in the future. Guys, real quickly about the tombs. That was very interesting, diving into the tombs on Tuesday and Wednesday. But one quick thing that I didn't mention, and I mean, I can't believe I didn't mention, we'll have to do a whole video on this in the future. The main tomb to the Notnilc, the main tomb to these minions, of all tombs that they bow down before, is one of the seven wonders of the world, this mausoleum of Harley Canassus, if I'm pronouncing that right, and I don't care what it is. Somebody in the comments. It's Harley. It's Harley. The mausoleum of Harley Quinn, who's going to be in the Joker. Is the new Joker movie a musical? I heard. Oh God. It's the seventh wonder of the world, or one of the seven ancient wonders of the world, but it's the only one, or one of the few, that does not exist in the Colossus at Rhodes no longer exists too, but there's no trace of it whatsoever. Yet they say they know it exists, and it still makes the seven ancient wonders of the world, the temple, the mausoleum of Harley Canassus. Now, I mention this because the creeps love it. I don't know what it means to them exactly, but they insert it all over the place. You can see it at the top of several buildings in New York or Manhattan. At the top of the skyscraper, there'll be all these columns and a certain. It's Harley Canassus. There's a scene with Neo in Matrix 4 where he's about to jump off the roof. He's drinking, maybe to almost like half he wants to commit suicide, half he wants to test if he has his old powers back. Well, there's like one building lit up, and that's another representation of the mausoleum of Harley Canassus. Try to get, if I ever do a full video on it, of course I'll try to get to the bottom as to why it's so important to the creeps. But I mean, I didn't mention it at all, and that's certainly, of all the tombs, that is the key. Or they bow down before that, before all others, for reasons. It's a tomb to something that we don't understand, probably under the fake story or guide of whatever they talk about regarding Harley Canassus or whatever that is. Okay, whatever. What else is here quickly before we talk about the individual realities and the shared realities? One other thing. In terms of the video that I made on Thursday, what did I call it? The only spiritual conversation basically worth having, or something like that. That type of a discussion will bring out a lot of trolls and creepy characters and just strange things. A few people called me names, and I removed them. I can take criticism, guys. I mean, I welcome it. I want the criticism. But then to call me names and disparage, I'm not going to put up with that. Why would I? But there were some comments that were very odd. Matt, if you're going to call out other channels and attack other channels, what? Attack? I don't even remember something Harvest. I don't even remember the channel name I mentioned. Her name was Louisa. It just was, there's no attack. I simply asked, saying, if you're in the unique and really great, unique position of having interviewed so many different people that had a near-death experience or an ADE, put your own conclusions together. That was the message. I mean, what attacks? I don't know what. There were some strange comments. I just wanted to mention that. It was just asking people to try to put the pieces together as we're trying to do. So anyway, by the way, if anybody's new, Notnilc is Clinton backwards. Clinton, Bill and Hillary. Clinton. I didn't know it would stick when I came up with it quickly years ago. I said, I don't know, with this thing here, the reason, let me just do 3 or 4 minutes on this. Matt, that'll turn into 20 maybe. The reason I came up with Notnilc is the most important reason, where I keep saying it whatever this dark thing is here that is our spiritual adversary that tries to block us and distract us at every turn. It doesn't deserve a good name. It doesn't deserve anything cool like the Lochnar, but you've heard me say that. The reason I named it something strange that nobody can really understand unless you've been here for a few years is I wanted to stress that the truth community has been manipulated and used and played like a fiddle to try to find the bad guy, to try to point at bad guys. I've talked about this police lineup so many times. Bring all the bad guys that all the truth videos present as the potential culprits here, from Satan all the way down through the archons, all the way down through certain secret societies and certain bloodlines and the Queen. I mean, just the endless list of bad guys. Years and years ago, I thought this is a presentation from the dark reality itself. It wants us focusing on specific lower level bad guys, because what the true adversary can't be seen here. It's built into reality itself. It's not a hijack of reality. It's part of this whole experience. Those that we call minions, or those that the first grade truthers point at and call bad guys, that's part of the trick. They want you focusing at that level because you don't see the big picture of what's going on. So there's no specific. I wanted a vague name. I wanted to express the idea that the bad guy here, it's up to us to overcome. Winning or losing is not up to it. It's completely up to us. It's vague. There is nothing to point at. I want people confused about what exactly is Notnilc, because there is no bad guy. There is nothing concrete. If, as a truth researcher, if you're pointing at a bad guy and thinking that's it, that's the final level, you're way off the mark. That's why I don't really respond to people. Matt, when are you going to talk about the J people? When are you going to? Oh, boy. That's just one. Well, whatever you believe about that group, or that's just one segment of hundreds or thousands of different groups and minions and systems that serve the dark adversary. It's here for one sentence, to simply block you from what you're supposed to accomplish in life. It's that simple. Matt, when you say Matt and then ask a question, it's like you're conversing with some sort of Philemon too. I don't have a Philemon, a Carl Jung imaginary friend, not yet. I just do that to express different points in the videos. But someone say, Matt, if it's one sentence, Matt, the Philemon's talking. If it's one sentence, how are you maintaining this channel? I don't know. Because I do know what the Notnilc, because all of reality is broken down to such a ridiculous degree. What the Notnilc presents is so unfathomable to us. We don't even completely get jaded to it. Although there's not much that surprises us anymore. what it tries to pull off and what it successfully pulls off with our family and friends is so unbelievable that I don't know. There's just so much to keep talking about, and then also part of it is we learned to make fun of it. Even the tombs, we laughed at a lot of that. So that's how, in terms of what's going on here in this reality, I just it's a few sentences to me. It really is. I mean, people have gotten on me. That simple approach that's the approach of an ignoramus, of an ignoramus or amus. Is somebody in the comments going to try to tell me which one it is? Only an ignoramus wouldn't know how to pronounce ignoramus. They tell me it couldn't be that simple, Matt. You need to listen to the endless lectures of Manly P. Hall, which I have, which we all do. You need to jump into the thousands and thousands of pages of the Theosophical Society and the Madame Blavatsky works, which we'll do, which we all do for fun. Well, most of the truthers look for. There's got to be answers in there, right? No. There's no answers in there. There's no answers. But any sort, and I'm not picking on Madame Blavatsky. Of course, the Theosophical Society still exists. You don't want to make enemies with them. Trust me. The only that's not a good idea. But it's to me. I have to keep it real. Any sort of complex conversation about reality, it's all nonsense. It's all part of the trick. Oh man, I had forgotten to check CNN to see if Tucson was still here or something major happened in the world. But it's the same old nonsense, which is really good. I mean, more stuff on Biden's condition. There's the same story that we looked at the last time I looked at CNN. They're just recycling the same stuff. A week later, it's basically the same story. Big image here. Of course, I bet it's spaghetti scrimmages. It is. Oh yeah, it's Getty. Tourists go home. You are not welcome. Another big story, just like the last time we looked. Excuse me. Tourists, the locals in Spain, all over Europe, different countries in Europe. I'm sure even in Paris now. Tourists, you're not welcome. Go home. I'd love I'd love for a local, some townie, some European townie in Amsterdam or the Netherlands, or what was the most depressing town of all time that I've ever come across. We went over to the Oktoberfest and stopped through Amsterdam. We spent a few hours in Rotterdam. I mentioned this recently. Rotterdam, the feel of Rotterdam, Netherlands, was like, I don't know. It was like being if the TV show The Walking Dead, actually all the zombies just stopped, just wandering around, whatever that TV show's about, and they formed a town or a community. That's what Rotterdam felt like to me. It was just really strange from a frequency or vibration standpoint. I'm not sure. I think I might have tried to talk to a few people. I'm not sure if they put their arms out or they grunted back at me. I don't know. I was with Steve and Ed. I said we were on our way to Oktoberfest as young men, 27 years old. So let's get down to Munich. This is horrible here. What are we doing in Rotterdam? Okay, we've seen these two bridges. Now F this. Let's get down. And even the Oktoberfest in Germany was we were like, this is it? This is the famous Oktoberfest? It's just gigantic tents of people drinking beer. It's like being at the New Jersey State Fair, but with beer. There wasn't anything to it. The tents were, it was literally like, you've heard of the Astrodome or the Superdome and how big it was. It's like that big. It's like the tents are, you walk through the doors and you go, how could they even make a tent this big? It's like 800 or 1,000 picnic tables of people drinking beer. We came from America. It's got to be. We were 27 years old. We're there to drink beer too, but it's got to be something else. No, that's it. Oh, and you can walk around and see the nice little pretty clocks and the pretty little architecture around Munich. We walked around Munich for like 45 minutes. 27-year-olds like, this sucks. Let's just go back to the beer tent or whatever. Just every day wake up with this horrible hangover. Cut that off. It got a little long. You don't need to hear about the October. Matt, we would rather hear about the Oktoberfest than your bullshit reality conversation. Okay. But what I was saying, let me finish the thought. I would love to be a tourist with if one of those townies held up the sign, or tourists go, "You're a tourist, aren't you?" "Yeah, I'm a tourist. Are you here to welcome me?" "No, I'm here to tell you to go home." This is a major story at CNN. I need to probably read it and say, why are they so upset? "I'm from Pennsylvania. Haven't you say mayor of Easttown on the I'm from Pennsylvania, outside Philly. You ever had cheesesteak wit?" And the person would be like, "What the?" Confuse the hell out of them right from the bat. And they have a sign, "Tourists go home." So I would say, "Hi, Czar." I would say, "Sir," let's just say I'm in Paris, because I'm sure they hate the tourist everywhere. "Sir, your country here, you don't produce anything. You don't have any, you don't have a good, you called international balance of commerce. You don't have any agriculture other than your wine and your Bordeaux crap. You don't produce anything. You have, oh, Michelin tires. Yeah, you have Michelin as an international company that brings foreign exchange into your country. You have Bic shavers. What's it called? Societe Bic or whatever. Plastic piece of shit shavers and pens. That's all you got. You got a few international companies. They don't have anything." I say, "Sir, other if the Notnilc didn't support you in my tourist dollar, you'd be on the streets, sir, homeless. Where you think you go to your down to your Champ Élysées or whatever, you have your baguette and your Bordeaux. Who do you think pays for all that? Me. Jack Burton, me. I could confuse the hell out of these people. It would be my dream to have somebody run up to me with a sign saying, 'Tourist, go home.'" But anyway, hi Zara. Let's talk about what Frank, again, just the way we have talked about this to a degree, but the way he put it was so well done. But he only wrote a few sentences on it, but he was so sure in his conviction. He was like, "Matt, who's this guy Frank? It doesn't matter. I can't, there's a lot of people over the years that have shared a lot of great stuff with me." Zara's going to lie down here on the table. He said, I'm Matt, I'm pretty sure that, we all have our own individual realities, far more individual than we can comprehend. The senses only bring in 1% of the information. We're all to a degree fooled here, going through life in this body. We don't have all the information. There's nothing even close to, I don't know how he put it, again, it was just a few sentences, but there's nothing close to an objective reality out there. And somehow they do work together when the personal reality bubbles merge, or even when we're talking to someone on the phone. And the key, the interesting thing for the comments would be on the sliding scale is how objective is that reality out there? And I'm not so sure as to how I'd answer that, but I would answer it in one way. And it's similar to when we've said in the past, guys, we say we don't usually go far enough. If we think this circumstance is strange or cake in a lake, fake, then as we look at it, it just we didn't go far enough. It's more ridiculous. It's more cake in a lake. We gave it too much credibility. Looking at this Notnilc system or politics, we don't go far enough. And I think that's almost always the case or the rule. And I think it would be the rule here. So I'm pretty sure about this. And we'll probably never understand this, of course, while we're alive in a body. Maybe we'll understand it looking back from another perspective or after death. But if we think that, okay, there's this reality out there, and it seems to our family and friends, and when we were Matrix children and we were fooled or whatever, it seems like, of course, it's out there, and every element, of course, has to be exactly the same as it applies to everybody. So we've come a long way in terms of our, reality observations, especially those who are Mandela affected and things like that. And we would say, no, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. Even the Mandela effect has shown us this actually more than anything else. There are elements inside my reality that don't match my friend Tony's or whoever's may be, or I might have different anchor effects in terms of the Mandela effect than as part of the comment I left for Guy Fawkes. But I think we would say we're not going far enough. If we have a little bit of an inclination that we have our own personal reality, and somehow that interacts with others, then it's probably much more individual than we think. We don't go far enough. So why don't we just go all the way now? All the way may be too far. That we have our own personal reality, and I know it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. How, Matt, you have your own personal reality where cucumbers are green, and you're bringing them up to get them checked out, but the person checking them out sees something that looks like a big yellow tomato. I hear you. I hear you. But there's merit to this. There's the evidence that there's just not one reality out there that we share and participate in, and it stands alone. I mean, that's been broken down 1,000 times over. There is nothing out there. All is mind. You know, the first rule of the Kabbalion, whatever that is. Who's Hermes thrice great? Hermes Trismegistus. You're gonna pick on her. You're gonna make more enemies, Matt, with Hermes Trismegistus. I appreciate what Hermes Trismegistus brought to us. I mean, there's a lot of great rule of correspondence, as above, so below. I mean, this is how reality works. I appreciate that. Everybody, I poke fun at everybody, even myself. It's okay. I don't think he's going to be waiting in the light for me with a bicycle chain. So, I agree with Frank that somehow when we interact with another real consciousness, the realities, I mean, maybe they merge together at the last moment, and they are very, very similar when we're together. Who knows? But I think we'll never understand it while we're alive. At some point, after death, we'll look back and it'll just make sense. And our consciousness, our comprehensive reasoning power will be magnitudes more than it is now. We're in this. Just think of again. I think the ratio between the dream character, this life, and the next. Think how foggy the dream is, or the dream character seems. I mean, when we're in the dream, it's just that's reality, and you don't know you're in a dream unless you're lucid, and that's rare for most of us. But it's looking back, it's so foggy. The thinking isn't clear. I mean, things will just all this weird stuff will happen right in front of you, and you just kind of go along with it like that's normal. And then the part of you that the next higher level up, looking down at this, is like that person in the United States is all these weird things are happening in front of them, and if they're on the ship of fools, they're just kind of going along with it. At least we're not going along with it. We're like the dream character. If the dream character, I mean, my dreams are so strange. And it's just one weird thing will happen. There'll be a math test I didn't study for, and then someone will jump out the window, and then someone will bring in lunch. It's just tomatoes on a plate, and then somebody will start taking their clothes off. It's just. I mean, I don't mean just weird stuff that makes no sense, absolute nonsense. My dreams are complete chaos realm, or it's in this reality to the next. I think will seem just as strange, and that part we'll look back and say, assuming if we were still in the ship of fools, say, what? How did you go along with that nonsense? You were about to have a math test, but somebody broke in and was serving tomatoes, and you think that's normal? How could you just go along with that? If I was talking to the dream character, and someone will say that to this self, and we're so to the next level up. I think we are so fogged, just like the dream. When you think in a dream, it's foggy. You don't remember any real clarity. I think this will be the same. I mean, it seems clear now looking out our window, but you can get a sense how foggy this will seem looking back, and how just we think we're so smart, and there's no comprehension. You just sit there mindlessly, watch the Olympics after was it Friday night, so I'm on my second IPA, and just mindlessly, well, not really mindlessly, because I was very upset at how horrible. I didn't expect the world. I didn't. But this is the 33rd. Oh, the 33rd Olympiad. I forgot about that. I thought they would do something, but what was I thinking? I mean, it's the era of destruction. It's the era of everything gets flushed, and that's not to say there won't be some good athletic events. I will watch. I like the gymnastics, mostly the women's. I like the track and field, women's and men equally. And I like the there's another swimming. For some reason, I don't watch swimming ever. I will watch the Olympics, especially when they're going for the gold, or the Michael Phelps type, the events where he was winning all his golds. I did watch that. I'll watch that. I won't watch. They have breakdancing, I believe. They have breakdancing. All these new. It's just an attempt to ruin all these new ridiculous sports. 3-on-3 basketball. First of all, I think LeBron James is there, and all the big NBA stars. Is there anything more unpalatable and horrible than watching these NBA stars take it out on Croatia? Well, they're actually half decent. That's where Tony Kukoc came from. Their basketball's half decent, but these NBA stars from the United States take it out on Senegal. Is there anything more low? I mean, it was when the Dream Team did it. Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. It was so novelty new. It was interesting, but it's just, I don't know. Like I don't think they were never my heroes, but they were. I don't know. They were like nicer people, like Larry Bird. I understand the level of creep that Michael Jordan may be, but others like Scottie Pippen. There were some real people, and that Karl Malone seemed like a real person. Not these absolute degenerates that are in the NBA today. With LeBron James, will he toss his talcum powder up in the air in his spell, in his ritual before the people from Senegal or wherever? I always bring that up because I think that's the team that Charles Barkley and the Dream Team. It was this team from Africa that I think they lost to the Dream Team by 50 some points. Charles Barkley elbows the guy under the neck anyway. But that was interesting. It was a novelty. It was one of the first times they introduced the professional athletes. I was a younger person watching it, so I was kind of enthralled with it. But I'm saying even if it came today, I'm not sure I'd be as disgusted with it because I'm not as disgusted with the individuals as I am LeBron James. I keep saying, I was going to say, is there a lower individual anywhere? But then, Matt, if it's losing. If you keep saying that about everybody, then the impact of it loses weight. I agree. There's a lot of low people in this world, though. He's still tossing his pre-game spell up to harness whatever power he's going to suck out of the audience, like that orc in Warcraft sucked the life stuff for the green spell in Warcraft was called the Fel. And it is odd how the emerald green was positioned as something extremely evil in that, like it was a movie that combined animation with real actors called Warcraft, based on the game World of Warcraft. But I think it was more of could have just been a hijack or a manipulation. The emerald green is not evil. The emerald green may be neutral. It's part of this reality. It's part of the original building blocks of this reality. I think it represents the illusion of the world. Emerald Green City, Wizard of Oz. It's not good or bad. It's like they tried to hijack it, didn't work. Now they're trying to hijack reality in other ways, which is leading to a bleed through of the magenta. Dave asked me to talk about the magenta. That's a 30-minute conversation that goes into an hour. Of course, there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of magenta from what we've done in the past, other than, it continues to a degree to bleed through reality. I notice it in the old videos, just like I talked about. Nothing major, though, and the creeps continue to push it. So it's not just a symptom of what's happening in reality. The creeps are pushing it at the same time. It's both. And, of course, there was a whole song and dance spectacle for the opening ceremonies of the Olympics, where everybody was entirely in magenta. It was a magenta presentation, and that was the point of it. So let me collect my thoughts here, guys. There's probably a few more things I missed, and I'll be right back. Guys, I mentioned that I would find out why those in Europe that hate the tourists are putting it's actually, I forgot. Remember we talked about they're squirting water pistols as well. Signs and T-shirts, tourists go home, and the water pistols being shot at tourists. What if they make a mistake and they don't shoot the tourists and they shoot the residents with the water pistols? Is that some sort of local misdemeanor? It says here, at the center of the protest lies the growing issue of rising rents and housing prices, which has made home ownership almost impossible for some residents. The center of the protest lies growing issue on rents and housing prices. Well, if I'm a tourist to Spain or whatever, how's that my fault? I mean, What else? Doesn't make any sense. Like everything doesn't make any sense anymore. Like other residents in southern Europe whose cities double as popular summer travel destinations, Mr. Ramirez puts much of the blame for the increasing costs on mass tourism, who, okay, they stay in some Airbnbs or whatever, but they mostly stay in hotels, or I'm not sure tourism it can be responsible for making housing unaffordable. That has never been the case throughout history. There's a lot of things that makes housing unaffordable. Unchecked trillions printed by the Fed, horrible decisions by politicians on the download. I mean, for example, the first ridiculous housing crisis I went through was when they transferred me from Los Angeles to San Francisco in 1999, in the middle of the dot-com boom. And people are like, good luck finding an apartment in San Francisco. We found this little place. It had a nice view because it was way up high in an apartment building. Tiny, I mean tiny, tiny. For myself and my cousin Mike sharing the rent. Come on, Matt. Mike ain't your cousin. Yeah, it's my cousin. 800 square feet? 6 to 800? It was just ridiculously small. There was a little tiny kitchenette attached to a little tiny living room where you just some tile and a little oven and it was and that was close to $2,400 a month. $2,400 in San Francisco in 1999. So, but I assure you, not one person blamed tourism to San Francisco for the housing. To me, it's always this Notnilc thing, whatever it is here. It just can never collect enough data on the human that it tries to study, like the strangers in Dark City. Again, I've talked about this recently, so I'm not going to talk about it very long. But for those in our community that say, Matt, it's some sort of alien AI system, or whatever this thing you call Notnilc is, like an AI or an alien mind, or there's merit to that, or the ultimate adversary, because it just can never get enough of studying us. Even this is a study to see, they're always testing on how far they can push populations here, testing and retesting, analyzing. And with the supercomputers and the AI, we've talked about this, the amount of data it's collecting now on studying populations, I guess, like Dark City, because we have the soul and the spirit, which it doesn't have, maybe just like what was presented in Dark City. It wants to understand that. It's taking in more data in 1 second now than it collected up for an entire decade in, say, 1950 or 1960. I don't think that's an exaggeration in any way. It might be basically taking in more data now than it took and it gathered on the human throughout all of history through 1960 in 1 second, in terms of, because it's reading millions and millions of comments and tweets and X and listening to conversations. It's collecting that much per second. So, for what? I mean, what's its? I mean, if it's listening to me in real time, which I'm sure it is, it's like, well, okay, you've studied the human, you've endlessly trying to, test and run experiments and see how populations will react and introduce this fake element, engage this, and analyze this data. But, well, I mean, if you haven't accomplished what you're trying to accomplish by now, I mean, when is it ever going to? It will never stop. I mean, that's the point. It won't ever stop. In some way, it's the Terminator. I need to re-record that section because it needs to be said a little bit better, because it relates back to what we talked about earlier. What is Notnilc? And why are we using the name Notnilc? Because this dark thing, our adversary, it is alien. It is like an AI. It is not human. It doesn't truly understand who we are. It just endlessly collects up data. It's alien. It's Notnilc. It's vague. It can't be pointed at in a police lineup. In other words, it's endless quest for data that will never stop. Never stop. I don't think it even has a definition of what winning looks like to it. I think it's more like the Terminator, will never stop. Well, even the Terminator, Matt, had a mission first go get Sarah Connor before John Connor was born. I hear you, but I'm not sure it has an idea of what winning looks like, this thing called Notnilc. It's more like the Terminator that never stops. And it relates back to the definition, or what we talked about earlier, about why it's this vague thing called Notnilc. Why I don't want anything specific that can be described. That's not the way to understand the adversary here. It's where the truth community that talks about specific bad guys is it's a first grade truth. They're being fooled. There's only one exception to this, it's the Christian notion of Satan is a very, very, in my opinion, accurate description of what this thing called Notnilc does. I don't believe Satan is real. Satan, we say it like Pennsylvania, but I'll give them the pass on that, because that is an identification of, and even Satan or Satan means the adversary. It's so similar, even though Satan it's a personification of something that seems like it could walk around the corner and you could point at it. Look, there goes Satan. You could point at it. And I don't like that. I think that's an oversimplification. It's this vague thing that people choose to join and get on its download and get on its ship of fools. And most of the people we call minions in the truth community is so upset about, they don't even, like Melvin, for example. Melvin doesn't even understand the end goals of this thing. And Melvin doesn't understand his true role, in my opinion. There's a lot creepier figures here, probably, than Melvin. Like we've talked about, if they're on TV, or if they're on some Forbes list of rich people, it's a lower level minion. That's what the truth community I just shake my head like they just don't ever learn. Think this group is the bad guy, or this secret society is the bad guy. It's the bad guy is nobody in a body. At least when people talk about the Archons or the Anunnaki, at least people, and whatever that police lineup is, demons. At least it's the ability to think bigger. That it is not human. It's not secret societies and people that eat the Subway sandwiches on the pod. And it's bigger. At least they're thinking it's bigger than this reality. But it is, to me, it's the reality itself, which we choose. With it has a very dark element to it. That sits over the natural world. That's not the natural world. But I believe we in some way even could have. I'm not going to say. Well, let me just not say it at all. I don't want to piss anyone off. We chose to participate in this. It's not not trapped. I mean, I don't need to clarify from the video, the last video back, but we're not. We might be trapped or tricked by our own doing. It's our own. Like Dorothy in Kansas. Did Glinda just come and she had to just really appease Glenda the good witch? She had to wash her laundry for 10 years. Then Glinda let her out. No, Glenda was always like, it's always within you. And you don't need these cheap ass Walmart ghetto shoes either. I mean, it was always within you. There's no place like it. You could just go whenever. It was within you. That's our situation. Realizing it's within us to, if we want to not come back here or get out. We don't need to, I don't want to say the same thing, but I don't prescribe to any religion. I don't need no God to get to, I don't. That's my belief set. I've been very consistent with it for forever. I mean, forever. And what I've researched and everything that I've gotten involved with and all the information that people have shared with me have actually strengthened my position on that. People will tell me every video to, Matt, you need to find Jesus. Well, why? I mean, I'm open to anything. I'm not trying to not find Jesus. I'm not trying to, Matt, we sent you this literature and you wouldn't look at it. No, I'm open to anything. I just don't understand that. What maybe, again, like the only way I can reconcile it so people don't get really pissed off at me is maybe we're all different here. Maybe that's not what I need to do. Maybe that's what you need to do. Why does it have to be one size fits all? From a religious standpoint, the first tenet, whatever that means, the first rule, the first commandment is one size fits all. Of course. If your God is Allah, then everybody must bow down before Allah. It's one size fits all. If your god is, you go back 1,000 years and it's Thor or Odin or this pantheon of Norse myth. I mean, that's, well, there's there's a lot of people even in our community that still look to those gods as being very real and their deities. And but the religion in general is just, it's my way or the highway. It's all one size fits all. Why? I mean, why does that have to be? Anyway, so my position on this has been pretty clear. To me, there's a reason why The Wizard of Oz is the biggest truth drop movie of all time. Nothing even comes close. I guess we'll just do a whole talking video sometime on it. Ran away from the real world into into Oz. That's where we are now. And Dorothy immediately fooled into believing she had to participate in everything that Oz and the wizard, this powerful wizard, because he's in a big castle. That's the politicians and the Chuck Schumers of today, and the Melvins and their money. And you need to go get the witch's broom for me. Oh, then you can help me get out. So you can't do it. You can't do it yourself, Dorothy. Can't do it. You can help me. Oh, I'll go run these tasks for you and do all this stuff for you. And that son of a beach wizard, he left her. He got in his balloon and got the hell out of there. Although it does, if you look closely, it's like the Tin Man. Like, I don't know. It's weird how that happens. But I think the Tin Man. Again, it is an old movie. The Tin Man has to, at some point has to undo the rope so they can take him up. I don't think the Tin Man is some nefarious actor working with the wizard. But he was a son of a beach right from the start. Professor Marvel and his fake ass crystal ball, rooting through her picnic basket, looking for pictures. That charlatan fraud son of a beach, Professor Marvel. And then he proved to be the same fraud. I mean, that presentation of the Wizard of Oz is just exactly what goes on in this reality. I mean, what do you say to us? What does somebody say back to us when we just tell them that, like we've told them many times? The behind the curtain. That's exactly what this is all about, literally. And they just think you're just one of those people. But it's a gigantic truth drop movie. Run all these tests, do all this stuff. The witch could never truly harm Dorothy. Put her to sleep. That's exactly what the Notnilc does to everybody here. Puts us all to sleep. Right? Put you right smack in the middle of the ship of fools. You order your drinks from Isaac. And you want to sit at Captain Stubing's table with Vicky on the Love Boat when that dinner is served and stuff like that. Zara's not going to be very... Matt, just take her onto your lap like last time. I know. Sorry. Come here, Zara. Come here. So it's lit. The Wizard of Oz is literal. It's completely literal, and that with the most important part being Dorothy could leave at any time. It's just all you gotta do is click your. They have to make it. They can't just say just wish it. They have to have a little bit of a ceremony because it's a movie. People think the rubies, those ghetto shoes, those ruby slippers, were necessary, and no, it was within her to get out. It's very, very simple. It really is. And the best news of all time is the reality just gives clues to this stuff all over the place. All over the place. Up and down, left and right. It's the best news of all time. Guys, I was going through remember the other day I said if you can get up and walk to the window, say you're in the eastern US and at 8:30, you can walk to the window and you can look out and see fireflies. You're doing pretty darn good. I mean, there's not much more you need in life. If you're healthy enough to step to that window, see fireflies, the fireflies represents that all is well with nature, that they haven't completely destroyed it, or some chemical leak, or you look out and there's still grass and trees and green, and Al Gore is still complaining, then things are pretty good. You don't need much more than that, but we can up it. You really, there's a lot of complainers in our community, and woe is me, and things are so terrible. Oh boy, almost ripped the headset off. Not quite. I had to check it to see if it was still recording. There's mute buttons on this stuff, so She got snared too for just a second, like the way they snare little animals on Life Below Zero. That happened to Bootsy once. I've got, I just want to close with one thing, guys, bro. I had some cords, and I guess I didn't the main microphone, and I came in, and she had only been caught in it for luckily for like a minute, but somehow the microphone cords, I don't know how that's even possible, and it wasn't like wrapped around once; it was like a snare on her back leg, like she was snared like one of the little animals in Life Below Zero. So I don't like that, but I do realize, well, I go to Wendy's once in a while, and what's the difference? I guess if we go to Wendy's and I put ham on my eggs a lot, I mean, then they should. I guess I don't. Why should I complain about them snaring the little animals? I guess out of sight, out of mind, Matt. You hypocrite, son of a beach. Yeah, I hear you, but whatever. I don't. Don't have the time, money, or effort to be cooking perfectly for myself. I eat a lot of crappy food. Well, so be it. Wish I could eat better in the future, but anyway. So, guys, I was saying, if you can walk to the window and you see the firefly, I mean, you're doing better than most. That's pretty good. But we can continue with this, like with an appreciation exercise. So, what would be next? And then you get into like a situation where you say you're doing better than 95% of all what they call humans that have ever lived. So, you can get up, walk to the window, see fireflies. Your house is at a temperature that's relatively comfortable because you live in a residence where there's some insulation and you have a nice roof, and your belly is full. You have those things. You want a little appreciation exercise. You're doing better than about 95% of all humans who have ever existed. Let me repeat that. If you can get up healthy right now, tonight at 8:30, and if you don't have fireflies out in Arizona, wherever you are, whatever, you can go out and see the rattlesnake about to crawl in its hole, or the roadrunner, or you can feed the iguana by hand, or whatever it is. And there's some natural parts, or there's some beautiful parts of the natural world. You can get up and go to the window at 8:30 and see it. Your home is somewhat comfortable in terms of its temperature. It's not downtown Baghdad in 1895 at push 120 degrees. With no insulation, or it's freezing cold. Parts of Novosibirsk, Russia, when the Russian stove just broke. And your house is comfortable and your belly is full, that you're doing better than 95% of all humans who have ever existed. Do you say that to yourself? Who realizes that every day? We do better than most, but we need to do better. Let's up it. What would be next? If you can get up at 8:30 tonight, walk to the window, see your fireflies, or observe your little rabbit wherever you are, or whatever. Your house is comfortable. You have and your belly's full, and you just took a nice long hot shower. You're doing better than 99 point. No, what is the 666? I'm not going to avoid 99.9 anymore. I'm tired of walking on eggshells. You're doing better than, because that's just the way of saying it. It's not 666. Why isn't it? Because I said it's not. But even the 666, there's nothing evil about that anyway. Look at the traps even you fall into, Matt. I mean, the 666 isn't evil. That's what they tell us it is. It's probably this is a world of opposites. It's probably something we want to probably write all over our T-shirts. But that wouldn't go well when we go to buy our groceries either, I guess. You can take it. It's the walk to the window, fireflies, comfortable temperature, belly's full. You just took a nice hot shower. You're about to take a nice hot shower. 99.9%. You're doing better than 99.9 of any human who has ever lived. And this includes kings, emperors, queens, earls, dukes of Earl, whatever that is. The nobility. Who? I don't think they had. Just because it's these evil, creepy minion bloodlines, going back to the sheriff of Nottingham. Matt, it's breaking down. Maybe. I don't think they didn't in their castles. I didn't think they had those hot running water. They maybe had enough servants where they could heat it up on a fire and pour a hot bath, which isn't bad either. Matt, if they blew bubbles into it, it would be like a hot tub. This is breaking down. It is. Okay, let's just do a few more. We'll do one more because I just thought of something that if you can get up, we'll end it on this because it's breaking down. If you can get up, walk to the window, see fireflies, again, which is a representation that nature is okay. Nature's strong. It's not all dead leaves and bare trees and no animals. That's not too good. But your fireflies, to me, is a litmus test. It's a gauge as to how nature's doing. The temperature of your house is okay. It's comfortable. Your belly's full. You just took a nice hot shower. You're going to take a nice hot shower, and then there's a sex act, a smelly sex act in your future that night, with somebody or alone, either one. Well, we'll just say with somebody. Then you're doing better. You have all those in one day, and maybe a Wawa sub in the fridge, a refrigerator that keeps things cold, and a cold beer. You have those things, which is we just take for granted. Who doesn't have those things, Matt? You're doing better than 99.9999. I'm doing the decimal point, 999, all the way out of all those who are doing better than who have ever existed in the history of what we call the human race. Now think about that the next time you go to the window and look out. Let's have a little appreciation once in a while instead of complaining in this truth community. We do have a lot. I mean, the heaven merges here with the hell. Our adversary is out to propagate the hell. We know that. Okay? They can't, per the rules here, whatever, the contractual rules, they can never truly get rid of the heaven. There's a merger of both in this place. And one of the big things about part 2 of the work, the worry about yourself activities, is getting yourself to latch on to the heaven and to not dwell on the hell. That is one of the largest parts of part 2, the work. Are you seeing the good, latching onto the heaven, bringing that into your reality bubble for the minute or for the hour, for the day, and not latching on stress, worry, anxiety, fear, anger, the hell part? Just like Dorothy chose. We choose what to associate with. And it's not, it sounds like tree hugger stuff and touchy-feely. It's hard to do. If the girl I dated years and years, Missy, was here for the Olympic ceremonies, and I would be verbal. I don't think I yelled out loud at it with Fifi Addy Girl on my lap, but if Missy was here, I would have been, look at this horse shit, Missy. Oh my God, is that Gaga? It was Thing Gaga. It was Thing Gaga doing some sort of performance in the opening. It was such horrible horse shit. I'm gonna have to do it for the Free Voice tomorrow. And I would have been like, look at this, look at these creeps, Missy. Missy would be like, I don't like that aspect of you. I didn't know you were like this. All right, it's broken down. Trolls, have fun screenshotting my T-shirt. Andrew, I told you I'd wear it. And there's no blasphemy in Andrew presenting it as if it's chapter and verse. For Notnilc, it is their chapter and verse. Their satanic Bible. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you tomorrow at freevoice.io.